Hey everyone. Today's episode of one of my reptiles, we are talking about my scaleless Texas rat snake. Western rat snake, we've gone over it at this point, right? Now, a lot of people have some pretty strong opinions about scaleless snakes, for one way and for the other. For the people who really don't like these guys, they have some fairly valid concerns. They'll say that, they aren't found in nature, it's not natural, it's just a weird mutation that really shouldn't exist, that they evolved for a very specific reason and for a good reason, and they're fairly right about that last part for sure. They did evolve for a very specific reason. They are used as essentially protection against the elements, the terrain, predators, and their prey. When you have an animal like this Texas rat snake who doesn't have venom, so what they only can do to hunt their prey is to use their face and then use their bodies to either aid in the constriction of said prey or to at least maneuver it to where that way they can actually be able to eat it properly. And an animal, bird, reptile, mammal can do some damage on an animal that just has this skin, right? But, and even then too, they also aid in body heat retention, especially once they start to warm up. Obviously, they're not warm-blooded animals, they're ectothermic, so that means they have to warm up by the sun or by aided heat. And once they do, those scales can kind of help keep that in. And they also aid in humidity and water retention, especially for some desert species like Gila monsters, although that's obviously a lizard, and Angolan pythons. But to say that they don't exist in nature isn't exactly true anymore. At this point, we've come close to almost a dozen different species of snakes that we have found to be scaleless. Not even counting the ball python, which we know was made in captivity. But for instance, they even went and flipped, i.e. someone went out herping or looking for reptiles, they flipped over a board, and they found an adult California king snake that was scaleless. So to say that they can't exist in nature isn't exactly true. It's just super rare, and it's not exactly the best mutation to exist out there. But it does happen. In fact, it's actually the same mutation that's in the hairless cats. So, yeah. Now, regardless of your opinions about scaleless snakes, they are a very fascinating thing. I myself am pretty lazy agnostic about this and most things. It's much more energy efficient. But I will say this, she makes an excellent education animal and an animal ambassador, an example to teach kids about snakes. Now, a lot of people wouldn't necessarily use a Texas rat snake as an ambassador animal. And fun fact, a scaleless Texas rat snake is a snake that I've been bitten by more time than any other snake in my entire life. Albeit it was just a baby at a reptile store that I just sat there and went, "You're so cute!" And it just sat there biting my hand over and over again. But it's still there, it's on the books. But this girl is an absolutely amazing animal. And then, well, assuming she's not hungry or in shed or just having an off day, she makes a very placid, great animal that, while I don't necessarily let a bunch of people pet and touch her, she makes a really cool example about what snakes will look like without their scales, depending on the audience, to talk about mutations, evolution, adaptations, and things like that. Now, the interesting thing about the scaleless Texas rat snakes and corn snakes versus something like, say, the ball pythons is that the ball pythons, as a whole, are entirely scaleless. They'll still have some on their heads. You're fine. Like, we'll see if we'll get that really close to the camera right there. You can see she has some scales on her head that almost looks like extra little eyes. And then she obviously has just a couple there on her sides. And then her belly, she still has all of her belly scales. They go all the way to the tip of her tail. Ball pythons, those being entirely scaleless, which leads to some issues, especially with a species that requires so much ambient humidity. They take extra requirements. Basically, I just keep this girl like a ball python with a slightly lower basking temp or hot side, and she's been great the entire time I've had her. And the also really interesting thing about the Texas rat snakes, or Western rat snakes, whatever, is that they normally, while they still have very unique and I think a very pretty coloration, 99% of them aren't this crazy bright orange-red color. As soon as you take away the scales, you somehow miraculously get this kind of like inverted, super resonating, high-res version of the snake without scales, and I just think that's really, really cool. I really love this girl. I try to have alternatives in all of the ambassador animals that I have, so I did pick up a scaleless corn snake as well, to when she's in shed, she's eating, she's not having it, then I have another scaleless animal to bring to a reptile show depending on the audience, what's needed, yada yada yada. Unfortunately, this little girl, who can be a little offensive at times, and even then you can still kind of see her tail rattling a little bit, but clearly she's okay with me. The scaleless corn snake is 100% a little spaz, so we're still working with her on that. Yes, I know, I love you very much. But this girl has been a great ambassador, and she's gone on with me with multiple different reptile expos, education events, and fun little programs. So just wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about the scaleless snakes in general, as well as my absolutely adorable, beautiful scaleless Texas rat snake. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. If you want to check out the full playlist that I have here at the end of all of these ones to check out all of the different animals that I'm going through slowly as I can, you can check that out. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Hope you're all having a great day, and we'll check you next time.